how to choose the right watercolor paper. People ask me all the time. Let's look at 3 major manufacturers and look at the different products as well as the different weights of paper. Right off the bat, Strathmore is a US made watercolor paper and a very inexpensive one. The Canson watercolor paper comes from France, also very inexpensive. Both of these are available at Hobby Lobby or at Michael's. They carry both of them. Arches is a very traditional watercolor paper brand, also from France, and these folks are more expensive, but they've been at it the longest of the whole bunch. In fact, they went into business in 1492 when Columbus set out, so they've been around a while. They know how to make watercolor paper. Although the other guys have been at it for a while too. Strathmore's the kid on the block at 1892 is when they started. So they're all very well established, good companies. They all produce 140-pound paper, which is the #1 most used paper by all watercolorists. 140 pound, and you'll find that listed right on the front of the wrappers on each of these. 140 pound, they'll say 300 grams, which throws people for a loop sometimes. The 140 pound is what you want to take a look at. And you'll find that widely available. 140 pound is paper that looks like this. This is a very smooth, what's called cold press paper. Again, it's the most popular paper that watercolor is done on. There are other varieties we'll get to in a minute. But on the weight, that's 140 pound paper. Now, all watercolor paper is made out of rags. So it's important as we're painting on this to understand that 1/3 of what we put on there in terms of paint and water will absorb into it, like any good rag will do. These are made out of cloth. So as we look at different weights, this is a 300 pound. Now, 300 pound paper is a lot like cardboard. It's very rigid and it won't pucker, won't bend. The 140 pound can do that more readily. It does tend to bend as we get water on it, but it will lay out over time. It'll quiet down again. The 300 pound papers are about 3 times more expensive than the 140 pounds. Also, these are harder to come by. As far as prices, they vary from, on 140 pound, from 30 cents to 62 cents a sheet, and these come in a variety of packs where you can buy a spiral notebook on this Strathmore product, and you can paint right on there and go ahead and tear them off and frame them if you want to, or you just leave them in the pack. You just work from one to the next. The Canson people bind their papers, and they have them a single binding at the top here, and you can pull them off and be ready to go, and that's how the Canson folks do most of their XL series. Arches, on the other hand, will provide us with a block of paper. This is 12 sheets of paper, and these are all bound on the edges right through the entire piece, except for right here at the top, where we can get in there and we can release the top of them. The finer papers are often done that way. This is a piece that I was working with on that block, and these simply release right from the top here. You go all the way around the edges with a palette knife and release them. Now, why would you use a block of paper instead of a pad? Well, even though they're 140 pounds, they won't pucker, won't bind as we're painting. So it holds them in position. That's why we use them. So that's one thing to know about a block, a watercolor block, and Arches provides that on all of their papers. Now, there are different types of paper, different textures of paper. The ones that are, again, the most popular is what's called cold press. Cold press is a smooth paper. That's what this Arches brand is. That's what this Canson brand is. These are both cold press papers. Even within the same design of cold press, you'll find that there is a little difference in texture from one manufacturer to the other. There's a little more tooth on the Arches brand versus on the Canson series. So it's something to just pick what you like. There are different flavors on each of these things. The other type of texture that we have on papers is one that's called hot press, which is the least enjoyed of any of them. They're hard to find. Hot press is very smooth. It's almost like painting on plastic. It's very, very high sheen, and for very flowy watercolors, you can use that product. The other one that is in second place after cold press in popularity is rough, and this Arches series I have here is rough texture. Can't see it too well on our shot here, but it has about twice as much texture as it does on the cold press. So the three types are hot press, cold press, and rough. Those are the three different types of textures that you will find in two different weights of 140 pound or 300 pound. Now, one other thing that you can do is the Strathmore people we started out with, they happen to make watercolor cards. And watercolor cards are a lot of fun to tackle because they make a great gift, number one, but they also are wonderful things for us to practice on. Strathmore makes these, and they're scored so that we can fold them easily. They come with their own envelopes, and they're just, they're $1 or so each on these little characters when you buy them in packs. But they're fun to do, and your mom will love them. So you can always knock out a couple of watercolor cards and have them around the house, because when birthdays come up or anniversaries or whatever, just do another one. They're fun to have and fun to work with. But Strathmore is the maker on the watercolor cards. So there you are. There are some more tips and other things to find here. Check at ericfetch.com. We've got lots of things to work with, and papers are a good thing to know about what you're investing in, because these come in packs of anywhere from 12 to 30, so they're going to last a long time. So have fun picking out the paper, and let's get started.